National Electrical Code Article 610.43 addresses disconnect requirements for cranes and hoists, and these principles apply to automatic transfer vehicles and automated storage and retrieval machines utilizing conductor rails. The question revolves around whether a disconnect switch for conductor rails can be located inside a fenced or guarded area, and the answer, based on the NEC, leans heavily towards it not being advisable or compliant. Let's delve into the specifics. Firstly, readily accessible is a key term defined in Article 100 of the NEC. It means capable of being reached quickly for operation, renewal, or inspections, without requiring those to whom ready access is requisite to climb over or remove obstacles or resort to portable ladders, and so forth. A fence, by its very nature, constitutes an obstacle. If personnel need to unlock a gate, find a key, or climb over the fence to reach the disconnect switch, it is not readily accessible. Secondly, NEC 610.43 states that disconnect switches shall be readily accessible from the runway for automatic transfer vehicles. Similarly, NEC 610.43 mandates the same for automated storage and retrieval machines. The runway refers to the path of the conductor rails. Placing the disconnect inside the fenced area violates this requirement because it impedes immediate access. Thirdly, consider the safety implications. In an emergency situation, such as a malfunction or an accident, quick access to the disconnect switch is crucial to de-energize the system and prevent further harm. Delaying access by placing the switch inside a guarded area increases the risk of injury or damage. Fourthly, visibility is another important factor. While not explicitly stated as a requirement in the provided extracts, the general intent of the NEC is to ensure that electrical equipment can be safely operated and maintained. If the disconnect switch is located in a position where it is difficult to visually confirm its open or closed status from the runway, it creates a potential hazard. The NEC requires that the specified equipment is to be visible and not more than 15 meters, that is 50 feet, distant from the other. Fifthly, the requirement for a lockable disconnect switch, as mentioned in NEC 610.43, further supports the argument against locating it inside a guarded area. The ability to lock the disconnect in the open position is intended to ensure that the system remains energized during maintenance or repair work. If the switch is behind a fence, it may be more difficult to properly lock out and tag out the system, compromising worker safety. Sixthly, it is important to consider the specific type of fence or guarding used. A simple chain-link fence with a gate may present a lesser obstacle than a solid wall or a complex security system. However, even a simple fence can still impede access and create a delay in an emergency. Seventhly, the authority having jurisdiction, or OJ, has the final say in interpreting and enforcing the NEC. It is recommended to consult with the AHA before making any decisions about the location of disconnect switches, especially in situations where there may be questions about compliance with the code. Eighthly, consider alternative solutions. If there are concerns about unauthorized access to the disconnect switch, explore other options such as using a lockable enclosure or a remote-controlled disconnect switch that can be operated from a safe distance. Ninthly, remember that the NEC is a minimum standard. It is always permissible to exceed the requirements of the code to enhance safety and reliability. In this case, locating the disconnect switch outside the fenced area, in a readily accessible and visible location, would be a more conservative and safer approach. Tenthly, regular inspections and maintenance are essential for ensuring the safe and reliable operation of electrical equipment. Placing the disconnect switch in an accessible location makes it easier to perform these tasks and identify any potential problems before they can lead to an accident. In summary, while there may be specific circumstances where locating a conductor rail disconnect switch inside a guarded area might seem feasible, the general intent and specific requirements of the NEC, particularly regarding readily accessible disconnects, make it a questionable practice. The potential safety hazards and accessibility issues outweigh any perceived benefits. It is always best to prioritize safety and compliance with the NEC when designing and installing electrical systems. Therefore, based on the NEC requirements and the potential safety concerns, locating the conductor rail disconnect switch outside of the guarded area is the recommended approach for both automatic transfer vehicles and automated storage and retrieval machines. Remember to always consult with a qualified electrical engineer and the authority having jurisdiction to ensure that your installation meets all applicable codes and standards. Prioritize safety, accessibility, and visibility to protect personnel and equipment. Consider that the readily accessible requirement isn't just about physical access. It also encompasses the speed and ease with which someone can operate the disconnect in an emergency. Any delay introduced by the fence, be it unlocking a gate or maneuvering around an obstacle, can have serious consequences. It is vital to consider the training and authorization of personnel who may need to access the disconnect. If only a select few individuals are authorized to enter the guarded area, and they are not readily available during an emergency, this further compromises safety. Furthermore, the type of equipment being served by the conductor rails plays a role in the risk assessment. Systems that handle hazardous materials or operate at high speeds demand even greater emphasis on readily accessible disconnects. Think about the potential for arcing and electrical hazards when working with conductor rails. A readily accessible disconnect allows for quick de-energization to minimize these risks during maintenance or troubleshooting. The NEC prioritizes safety, and its requirements are designed to prevent accidents and protect workers. Deviating from these requirements, even with seemingly minor modifications like placing a disconnect inside a guarded area, can have unintended consequences. Always err on the side of caution and ensure that electrical systems are designed and installed in accordance with the NEC and best safety practices. Consider the potential for future modifications or expansions to the system. If the disconnect switch is located inside a guarded area, it may be more difficult to make changes or additions to the electrical system without disrupting operations or compromising safety. A readily accessible disconnect provides greater flexibility for future modifications. Also, remember that the NEC is updated regularly to reflect changes in technology and best practices. It is important to stay current with the latest edition of the NEC and ensure that your electrical installations comply with the most recent requirements. The NEC is not just a set of rules, it is a comprehensive guide to safe electrical installations. By understanding the principles behind the NEC requirements, you can make informed decisions about the design and installation of electrical systems that protect people and property. In the context of automatic transfer vehicles and automated storage and retrieval machines, consider the impact of a power outage. A readily accessible disconnect allows for quick isolation of the affected equipment, minimizing downtime and preventing further damage. Evaluate the environmental conditions in which the disconnect switch will be located. If the area is subject to harsh weather, extreme temperatures, or corrosive substances, ensure that the disconnect switch is properly protected to maintain its reliability and safety. The NEC provides specific requirements for electrical equipment installed in hazardous locations. If the area around the conductor rails is classified as a hazardous location, the disconnect switch must be rated for that environment. Also, don't underestimate the importance of clear and visible labeling. The disconnect switch should be clearly labeled to indicate its function and the equipment it serves. This helps to prevent confusion and ensures that personnel can quickly locate and operate the switch in an emergency. Regularly inspect the disconnect switch to ensure that it is in good working condition. Look for signs of damage, corrosion, or wear. If any problems are detected, replace the switch immediately. Effective communication is essential for safe electrical work. Ensure that all personnel involved in the operation and maintenance of the equipment are aware of the location of the disconnect switch and how to operate it. Implement a comprehensive safety program that includes training on electrical safety, lockout/tagout procedures, and emergency response. This helps to create a culture of safety and prevent accidents. Review the design of the electrical system with a qualified electrical engineer to ensure that it meets all applicable codes and standards. A qualified engineer can identify potential hazards and recommend solutions to improve safety and reliability. Consider the use of arc flash protection. Arc flash is a dangerous electrical phenomenon that can cause serious injuries. A readily accessible disconnect allows for quick de-energization to minimize the risk of arc flash. Stay informed about new technologies and best practices in electrical safety. Attend training courses, read industry publications, and network with other professionals to stay up to date. By continually learning and improving your knowledge of electrical safety, you can help to prevent accidents and protect yourself and others. In conclusion, the placement of a conductor rail disconnect switch inside a guarded area presents significant challenges to meeting the NEC requirements for readily accessible disconnects and can compromise safety. Prioritizing readily accessible disconnects allows for quick de-energization, minimizes risks, and supports safe maintenance and emergency response procedures.